These are stories of outdoor adventure and expert advice from folks with calloused hands. I'm James Nash, and this is the Six Ranch Podcast. This episode of the Six Ranch Podcast is brought to you by Defend Security Cameras. So what's it like raising a feral kid?
Oh, shucks. Awesome.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of glimpses of myself at that age.
Do you remember being 4?
Very, a little bit. There's little things that I'll see him doing and it'll bring back, resonate in a memory and mostly from pictures from when I was a kid, because my mom always had pictures of stuff, and you see, you just see moments that, like, wow, that didn't go far from the tree.
Yeah.
And it's funny sitting with my wife because he's kind of double bred that way. We're both very independent, hard-headed, like just good grounded people. And we'll see him do something. We just look at each other like, is that you or me?
So kind of had that coming.
Yeah. Well, but it's the best thing ever. Best things ever happened to me. My wife and my kid, they're both fantastic. So
where did you grow up?
Originally, I grew up in Helix, Oregon, family wheat ranch. I was born in Walla Walla, was the adjacent hospital there. And, we lived on the wheat ranch till I was about 13, I think. And then we ended up moving to Pendleton. And I think I went through 7th grade at Helix and then went to Pendleton High School at junior high and high school. That was a culture shock going from 6 kids that I'd known my whole life to, 180, 200 kids in the classroom and 800 people in the building at high school. So, but I was a little shy going to that culture, but then through agriculture at FFA, my horizons opened up a little bit with getting with common folk that I knew and understood and made good friends. Still have some of them today. So
I've been thinking about FFA quite a bit lately in terms of leadership. And it was confusing to me in high school why everybody was being taught leadership. Because not everybody gets to be a leader. Like it just wasn't quite making sense to me. And what I've realized in hindsight is that you cannot tell who the leaders are going to be. So you give the lessons to everyone and kind of see where it sticks.
Ironic sitting in the position I am right now.
Yeah.
Running for county commissioner. And I'm sure my ag teacher from high school is just sitting way back in his chair for a second here going, you got to be kidding me. The chapter reporter from 1996 is running for a county commissioner position. But it's those lessons and opportunities at a young age to really get an understanding of what's going on around you that kind of led me into the world I'm working in and today as a profession, but also the idea of protecting that future and what it takes to do that.
And what is your profession today?
A rancher. Put up hay and raise cattle.
What's the difference between a rancher and a cowboy?
Some days there's not much difference. A cowboy gets to work cows a horseback and on the ground every day, and you're literally boots in the mud doing the job of cattle welfare. A rancher, you're an accountant, you're a manager, you're running a grease gun, you wear all the hats. The responsibility of who you answer to, which in my case was a bank, you learn to not just worry about what's going on with the cows. You gotta be ahead of the game and taking care of all the little things that come throughout the year.
Yeah.
That would be a short answer.
I think one of the bigger struggles for a lot of ranchers is that they want to be cowboys, right? That's what got them into it in the first place.
Yep.
And they want to be out doing that $15 an hour job, but they need to spend their time doing that $90 an hour job so that the thing can work.
Absolutely. No, I've done both.
Yeah.
I graduated from college in 2004 from Oregon State.
Ag business?
Ag business management and a minor in animal science.
Okay.
And I graduated and didn't really have a direction where I was going to take that. But I mean,
that's the story of our generation.
Absolutely. I knew I wanted to be around livestock. I had a passion for it. I loved it. Loved horses, dogs. And so I found myself bouncing around in Nevada, Washington, Oregon, was down in Colorado for a while working for a rodeo company. It was an adventure is what it led me through. And through that, I've learned a lot of management practices and a lot of good animal husbandry and got to spend time around a lot of really good cowboys that taught me a lot about horsemanship and stockmanship and just understanding how to make that life easier and do it correctly. So it evolved into this and as I could still be doing that, but I wanted more. I knew I didn't just want to live out of a bedroll and cowboy for a living.
There's a time in your life where that's really fun.
Oh,
and all you want is more and different of that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Really similar to guiding. A lot of guides in their 20s, they are so happy to be homeless. And, maybe they've got a vehicle that runs most of the time, but if they're out guiding horseback or guiding off boats or whatever, and they've just got a spot to lay down on the ground at night, they don't really need much more than just to get more of that.
Yeah.
And then, you get into your 30s, mid 30s, maybe, and it's like, oh, geez, I can't actually do that forever.
Yeah.
You've got 20 acres and your security camera can see about 50 feet from your Wi-Fi router. Your gate, your barn, your equipment, all the places you actually need to monitor, they're exactly where your Wi-Fi doesn't reach. That's where Defend security cameras make a lot of sense. They work on cellular, just like your phone. But here's what's clever. They've got an embedded SIM card that automatically connects to the best network in your area. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. It finds whatever's strongest. No choosing providers, no contracts, no hassle. I'm using Defend cameras at my place. You mount it, open the Defend app on your phone, and you're done. 10 minutes. Clear footage, night vision, instant alerts, and here's something you need to know. Defend doesn't sell your data. Not to China, not to tech companies, not to anyone. They work for you, period. Defend your place. So what's this look like now? And you sort of have to reinvent yourself and come up with new priorities and find satisfaction in new things.
Oh, 100%. I got into the hay business and went to work with Ty Campbell over in Athena, buying hay from him or buying hay for him. And it evolved into relationships that I built and that parted ways, and I went and started my own hay business, hauling small bales out of the county here for 2013-ish is about when that started. And I was hauling about 2,000 ton of small bales a year out of here, taken to adjacent areas, Lewiston, Pendleton, Walla Walla, Tri-Cities, and just had a hand delivery business.
Timothy, alfalfa?
A little bit of Timothy, mostly orchard grass and grass alfalfa.
Okay.
And then some two-tie alfalfa as well. So, but it was almost all two-tie. Very seldom did I take loads of anything large bales, but
Were you loading and unloading that mechanically or by hand?
Loaded mechanically here.
Yeah.
Most producers all had 10 bale grapples, but I would say 95%, probably more than 95% of it was all unloading by hand.
Yeah.
And just
Are you a hay hooks guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I can wheel a hay hook. Yeah.
That's the way.
Yeah. Oh, you learn how to handle a 100-pound bale pretty easily when you.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and there's an art to it. It took a while for that to sink in, and there's a lot of different styles of hooks. But
what style do you like?
They're a T grip. They're not an open hand, so you got to. And I can just hook a bale and then hook a string, or there's a lot of.
Did the grip swivel?
No, they were solid on each end, but just that style of T grip was my preference.
I liked T grips that swiveled.
Yeah.
And that way, if a bale was starting to get away from me, like they sometimes do, it's not twisting out of your hand. Your hand can twist with it and hang on a little bit more. But
yeah, you're in good company when somebody's talking about knowing how to run a set of hay hooks or a post pounder, the tools that kids were raised on our age.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to hear somebody else talk about using them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of folks around that were kind of anti hay hook, and I didn't understand. I'm so much stronger and faster with these things. Mm-hmm. But I hated digging for strings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wear out the fingertips of your gloves all the time. And
no, I've got the original set that I started using. So a lot of times I'd back into a barn, and you'd have the full 24 foot of that trailer loaded with hay, 5 high, 6 high sometimes. And so you'd be dragging bales down that trailer to stack them at the back of the trailer. And both of my original set of hooks have grooves worn in them from strings. They're probably 1/4 inch deep down into the hooks. And so, you start looking at that over time thinking, gosh, wonder why my back's not worn out. Well, it's because you're using hay hooks. Because, it can be hard on you if you don't do it right.
Yeah. Thinking back to like high school shop, that was a really standard project for kids who were just learning how to weld, learning how to bend metal a little bit, like you're going to make hay hooks, because we were mostly small bales back then. There was a few round bale outfits, but very few of the big square bales, and not a lot of tractors around. So everything was getting loaded by hand and unloaded by hand, fed out by hand. And I bet that there's not a lot of hay hooks getting made in high school shop anymore. You're
probably right about that. I mean, with industry and technology changes, the two-tie business it's domestic pretty much now. Everything else, you talk about 3x4s, which is the major size that everybody's making and selling. I see a return to some small bales here as we move into different trades with different countries. I mean, we've got I say that because I've had discussions with guys that are, as deep as they can get into big bales, and they're thinking, gosh, this market just is not that great right now. Like what's an alternative? And now they've got bale bundlers where you can take, 19, 20, 21 small bales and put them in a bundle that's built like a 3x4 to load onto a truck. And it's just a machine you pull behind your small baler, and it quantifies them and kicks them out like a big bale. And so I see more two-tie maybe coming into the picture. That market will probably get flooded. But
what's the hay market like this year? We had the mildest winter that anybody's ever seen in the Intermountain West. It was a big winter on the East Coast. It was a big winter in the South. The Farmer's Almanac prediction and Noah's prediction for our winter was for cold and a fair bit of snow. That didn't happen. So is there a lot of hay left over?
Depending on where you're at, I think. With the shortage of, take Wallowa County, for instance, we're really short on range grass. It's been hard the last 2 years. Didn't get a lot of growth last year. Not much moisture yet this year for regrowth. So I think that the supply that's sitting there is going to get used more so than it historically on most winters would be. We're going to go deeper into the spring feed, and guys potentially coming off earlier in the fall without having resources. And, geographically that probably changes from one place to another, but there was a pretty substantial surplus of hay sitting on the market in the basin just because of, bad trade deals going on overseas that are typically taking a lot of that hay. So there's a lot of inventory.
Yeah. How did the tariffs impact like our exports? Because I know that the hay we grow here in Wallowa County is very, very good. Like some of the stuff we grow is absolutely incredible, and people all over the world want it, whether that's in Japan or for racehorses at the Kentucky Derby.
100% on that. I don't think you'll find anywhere in the Western United States that grows the quality Wallowa County does. I mean, Ellensburg has fantastic Timothy, but some of the Palouse areas can raise that kind of Timothy.
Yeah.
But the Wallowa County's climate for good grass hay is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It honestly, that quality is what built my hay business. Being able to deliver unconditional amounts of that into people's barns was what built my business. And
a lot of horse hay.
Yeah, almost all horse hay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, just super good quality. It retains color really well. It's the elevation's perfect. You get fantastic quality here. So, it doesn't get any better.
My understanding is that there's a fair bit of export where they'll take these bales and compress them. Can you talk to me about what that process looks like a little bit?
You got your large squares. Typically, a 3x4 is your most common size used. Some presses will take 4x4. Basically, it's grown in the field. A lot of exporters, when there was a lot more business going on in the export business, they'd haul truckloads right out of the field. Most of these guys, at least in this region, putting it in stacks in a barn, waiting till later in the year to move it. But when there was a lot of movement export-wise, they'd run them right to the press, offload them, just depending on what the demand and the need for that quality of hay was. If it's a number 1 Timothy, number 2 Timothy, when you get in the alfalfa, you start talking about Cuber hay or different dairy qualities of alfalfa. They would go to different regions from the Pacific Rim, clear around into Dubai and some of these areas where they've got Arabian horses and camels, and just depending on where they were going, where it was going, the quality that they shipped to those areas and what the demand was. And so they'd offload it on trucks, put it in a press, just basically a conveyor belt deal, goes up into a machine that slices the bales and it slice them into, on a 3x4, I believe that it'd be a 4-way slice, maybe a 6. It kind of depended on the size, and then press it down, put it in these little bundles that are just wrapped with binding plastic wrap and containerized, shipped overseas. A lot of it happened in Ellensburg. Being Pasco, Washington had some presses, and then they'd move them off to ports at Pasco. They could run it up and down the Columbia there, save having to go from Ellensburg to Seattle to a port. And so it was a really good thing for the hay industry in the Northwest. It's diminished a lot since the tariffs.
The tariffs.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it just got too expensive for those countries to continue purchasing from us. Where are they getting it from instead?
That's a really good question. Australia exports a lot of hay.
And Australia, they're making better deals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it'll come back. I think it's going to be hard to compete the quality of hay anywhere in the world for what they can grow in the Northwest and get to an easy port. I think there's some regions in the United States that have really good hay. It's just so far removed to get it to a port that the Northwest stands alone in that. And they've got a multitude of areas here that all raise good quality, but maybe I'm biased. I'm just going to go ahead and say hands down, Wallowa County raises some of the finest grass hay in the Northwest.
Okay. So if we're talking about economy of our area and exports, I think it's worth bringing up the lower snake dams. There's a bunch of people who are interested in removing the lower snake dams to allow for easier fish passage. There's another side of it that says we've had years where fish returns were very high with those dams in place. The dams do provide a lock system so that you can get ships all the way upriver to Lewiston, Idaho. Where do you stand as a political candidate for the lower snake dams?
I think they should stay. That's my opinion on that. I understand the argument for wanting to remove them for fish passage. I guess I would have to look at a little more data as to what the negatives have been that would encourage me to want to remove them. Mm-hmm. But those infrastructures were put in there, and when they're taken away, there's no coming back from that. What are the benefits that are coming from having those infrastructures there, from export or timber movement across, getting our commodities and commerce moved? How much of an asset is that to the inland Northwest? And I think that's the more important question to ask, because we all have to survive and all have to make a living, whether it's in the timber industry, whether it's in livestock or hay. And having that infrastructure in place is really monumental moving forward. What that looks like, I look at the railway we have sitting right here in the county.
Pretty rough shape.
It is in rough shape. It is infrastructure that had a purpose. We look at taxing that could be coming down at a state level on a road tax, and what that does to our trucking industry. Mm-hmm. Say we get the trucking industry to a place where it really isn't affordable to own trucks and put goods on the road. How do we move our commerce out of Wallowa County? And in. Absolutely.
We're the end of the road.
Yeah. That rail looks pretty good then.
Yeah.
That's a pretty efficient way to move a lot of material.
Yeah.
I think that it's, and that goes back to the Snake River Dam. Those are things that people before us put there for a need. And as we've evolved, those needs are controversial from many sectors and environmental ideas, and that they all have merit to listen to. There's reasoning behind it, but ultimately, we live in a capitalistic society, and we've got to have commerce, we've got to have trade, we've got to keep economies moving. So until we come up with a better idea for what they did years ago, I don't think it's. I think that's a little preemptive to think that we need to go tear out these dams just for the purpose of fish, because we've still got the fish. And,
yeah, yeah, to an extent. We haven't had a king salmon season opened here in close to a decade. Our steelhead runs have been very low. We're working to get some other fish put back into the river. I think they kicked loose like 750,000 coho in the Wallowa this year.
Oh, good.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that was farther up the river system than they've done in the past. So if any of these 750,000 brave little stormtroopers make it through, it's 8 dams between here and the ocean, from the middle of the Six Ranch to the mouth of the Columbia at Astoria is 600 river miles.
Okay.
So they've got to make it through all the predators as little baby fish and all the dams going out, and then survive for, a couple of years in the ocean against everything that's trying to kill them out there, and then make it back up the gauntlet past gill nets and dams and sport fishermen and sea lions and all the other things. Mm-hmm. And then maybe some of these 750,000 fish will be back on the Sixth Ranch to spawn, which would be the first coho to spawn here in a hell of a long time. And I'd be pretty excited about it.
Absolutely.
But I also recognize that we do need this commerce and we do need infrastructure to be able to move stuff in and out. It's very important. So they're complicated subjects. And with anything like this, where you're talking about something that's completely binary, being keep the dam or remove the dam, there's going to be a losing side. There's going to be a losing side. Mm-hmm. And those are tough decisions.
Absolutely. And where's the balancing point?
Yeah.
What can we do to better facilitate that fish passage?
Yeah.
To what's going to enhance that? I think there's solutions to most all problems. It's just a matter of getting the right people in the room, sit down with the right attitude to solve problems.
A good attitude sure helps.
It sure does.
Yeah.
And I think we, our world's fairly polarized.
Yeah.
Finding that middle ground is going to be difficult at times, but I think it can be.
I was talking to the guy that does day labor out at the place that I guide at. Excellent dude. And he was asking how bad the blowdown was. And with the ground not being frozen hard and big winds, the number of trees that blew down this year is insane. Yeah. And this one particular road, I was like, it's bad, dude. It's bad. And he's like, well, I'll just come out here with a lot of sawgas and a good attitude. And I was like, man, that's perfect. And what a way to look at a tough job. Mm-hmm. And to recognize, like, maybe if I don't have a good attitude this day, that I'm going to do something else. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you just might not do the job quite right. I think coming into anything with a good attitude is helpful, and you got to recognize that in yourself.
I'll guarantee you that I've had those days where I wish I'd have had a good attitude, because life is so much easier. It may not be any more or less work, but at the end of the day, having a good positive attitude definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure. So the commissioner that you're running against is John Hillock. Mm-hmm. Good guy, like John. Got along well with John my whole life. And something that he's been working on a lot is our wolf population and our diminishing elk and mule deer population. Mm-hmm. You, I think, if elected, might be the only county commissioner in Oregon to have killed a wolf.
I guess that's one way to look at it.
Tell me that story.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people still don't understand that there is a time, there are circumstances where you can legally kill a wolf in Oregon.
Yeah. So that would have been about 2020, I believe. Take me back here, 2019 or 2020. Had some depredating going on. Had a pasture out off of Hayden Butte, east of the valley here. And
depredating is a fancy word for wolves that have been killing your cattle.
Yeah, I hadn't suffered any complete losses yet. What I had was some juvenile dogs coming in and working over my baby calves.
Okay. So they're just biting them. They hadn't killed any yet?
Yeah, nothing was dead yet. They'd torn hamstring away from the hind end of the calves. In fact, one of them was so bad, the hole where he'd torn it, you could put your fist through it. Like, it was just gruesome.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I think a lot of folks don't understand, is just how morbid what happens to these animals. I mean, they literally start eating them alive. They just don't wait for them to die to just continue eating them. But I got a call from a neighbor, said, I think you got a problem here. He had one of my calves that was, we share some watering holes with common fence line, and he says, there's something wrong here. So I went out and looked, and sure enough, I had a calf that was bit up pretty bad. So
how does that feel?
It's a multitude of emotions. You're frustrated and sad and upset and pissed off and mad and just like it's irritating. Like there's just an overwhelming number of emotions that go through you, and that was the first time I'd really suffered much of that.
It's pretty different when it happens to you than when you hear about it, even when it happens to somebody close by that you care about.
Yep. It's a surreal feeling knowing that, well, it was my turn's come, because it's unfortunately here in Wallowa County, it's been just an ongoing misery for 20 years almost now. It just sucks. You spend who knows how many countless hours at night out night cabin in blizzards and snow and cold and keeping everything alive and giving everything you've got to making something work. And then you get to that point where should be this relieving point to turn out on green grass in the spring and know that their mothers can take care of them. And then along comes a wolf and it just, it's gut wrenching. Like it is a blow to take, but kind of back to the story, I'd gathered up the cows and calves and got them loaded and hauled into the vet clinic here at Enterprise Double Arrow and started the autopsy process or the investigation process, whichever it may be, with ODF and W officials. And I had the county sheriff there. At the time, the OCA Wolf Committee Chair was Rod Childers. Your dad was there as a commissioner. Fred Steen was there as a sheriff. And so there was a lot of leads in the county were there to oversee these investigations and try to make sure that at that time it was pretty controversial what they were approving, what they weren't. Like it was a big deal to get an approval or confirmation on it. But I ended up getting 2. And so I immediately put in a request to the Fish and Wildlife to get a kill permit for that pasture. I mean, they're only in about an 800 acre pasture and I just want to be able to protect my livestock. Well, they wouldn't give it to me because they said I hadn't had enough non-lethal presence there at that time, which was highly frustrating.
And non-lethal presence is like hanging up flags?
Yeah, flaggery, having a human presence in your livestock.
24 hours a day?
At that time, that would have been preferred. But having a daily presence accumulated is one way that they could determine that you've had enough non-lethal. They have little strobe lights that you can hang on T-posts, just different deterrents that initially might deflect a wolf from wanting to hang out there. Most of the non-lethal measures that you'll find really are unsuccessful over time. They might be initially on dogs, but over time they don't tend to stay scared of it. So
it seems to be the case that, and this is fairly well studied, that it can give you a reprieve for a couple weeks.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah, and I won't say it doesn't work because, I mean, obviously, having spent a lot more time since with them, like non-lethal can mean being there and scaring them away and literally having a physical presence with dogs. But in that case, they wouldn't issue me a permit. And so the following morning, it had rained all night, and I was going. Well, actually, after the investigation that night, I went back out and was up on top of the butte watching over my cattle until dark, and there were 2 wolves coming in from an adjacent area, and it got dark on me, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. At that time, I didn't have any thermal, but I got up at, I don't know, I really didn't sleep that well that night, so I was up and ready to go to get back out there. And right at daylight, I was headed back into the gate to check on my livestock, and came around a road that kind of came around the bottom of the butte and looked out the window up on top of on the butte, and here comes a wolf chasing my cows around the butte. And I thought, well, I got mud, I got a dog chasing my cattle. That's caught in the act. So here we go. And I shot him and
How far? Excuse me. How far was your shot?
Oh, it was a couple 100 yards.
What were you shooting?
7 mm. And Night Force. I had it custom built by Darren Blagg over in Pendleton, and so I knew the gun shoots. It's 600 yards plus. I was pretty confident with it out to about 8, but that was pretty much a dead hold there. And the interesting part is I actually shot the dog, and he kind of sat down, and the cattle kept moving off, and he kind of took a few steps away from him, and then didn't really seem to phase him. He took back in after the cattle again, chasing, which I learned a lot from. Their life, if they can get them to run and chase, they're gonna pursue them. It's the thrill of the chase for wolves, I've noticed. But yeah, so I shot him a second time and killed him.
Where'd the first shot hit him?
It was back a little further than where you would like to shoot one.
Yeah. So he soaked up a 7 mm from 200 yards and then continued chasing your cattle.
Yep.
That is unbelievable.
They're an impressive animal. I won't take it from them. Like they really are.
There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt that they're impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. It of course, I immediately went up there to see, take a look at it. I thought, well, here goes. And anybody in that situation contemplates, well, nobody else knows what's going on here. It'd be pretty easy to just walk away. But I also knew, based on what I had the day before with the confirmations, I had a case against them. Like at that time, I just figured, no, this is bullshit. They need to wear this.
And to lay it out clear, folks, if you are east of Highway 395 in Oregon and you catch a wolf in the act of chasing, biting, or killing livestock or a working dog, you have a right to kill that wolf. Mm-hmm. Now, that does not include a hunting dog. It does not include a pet. So if you're out for a walk with your Weimaraner and a wolf decides to kill it, you cannot legally kill that wolf. And that's something that I'm looking at finding a way to change, because that's crazy. But I do want people to understand that that is the case legally in Oregon right now. So you were 100% legal.
Caught in the act.
To do what you did.
Yep.
And that you do not require a kill permit for that. You do not require permission. Like, you can do that in the moment.
Yep. Yeah, and but the onus was on me, not on the wolf. Like, I had to prove it. That was part of the deal. You have to prove that that's what happened.
Yeah, at that point, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yep, 100%. I reached out to an attorney first. And said, here's what I did. Here's what I'm doing. My next call was to ODF&W and Pat Matthews. And I was on private property. So I said, Pat, I shot one of those wolves. I said, I want you and no other state officials, just you, to come do the investigation. I called Rod Childers, Fred Steen, the sheriff at the time, and your dad, commissioner at the time. And they all showed up and came out. We're looking around, and Pat was doing his investigation, and he deemed it a legal shoot, which had to be followed up by the state police. They obviously had to be a part of the investigation. And one thing that did come of that was good is for the ranching community is almost immediately my name came out in the media. Mm-hmm. And
how'd that feel?
I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Your dad at the time went to the head of the state police and ODF&W, and they got a deal implemented in now where if that scenario were to take place, they can't come out into the media news cycle for 2 weeks upon the incident, just to give it time to get into a different news cycle. But I never really got a whole lot of negative from anybody. Mostly a lot of high five and good for you, and
Yeah, I bet you didn't have to buy a drink in Willow County for a minute.
Yeah. Well, at that time, I still I hadn't drank for quite a while, and still don't. But yeah, it was unnerving. I mean, because you knew that everything you had could come to an end right there. I mean, it was a risk, but in my mind, I don't know how they could have proven me wrong, because I literally had the tracks running in the cattle tracks. So, and it was fresh. It just stopped raining right when I drove through the gate. So, I mean, it was as clean a tracking as you could have.
So what advice would you offer to somebody else in a similar situation? They're in Eastern Oregon, they see a wolf in their cattle. Given the way you experienced that incident, and then how times have changed in the years since then, what would you tell them?
I feel like we've evolved with what happens with ODF and W. The relationship's gotten better. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding this statement, but based on where I currently sit with ODF and W, they're more on the same page of management than they used to be. It was preserve the wolf at that time. There was a lot at stake if something like that took place. This day and age, we're evolving into more proactive management. But you want to make sure that your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, because it's not like you're just gonna go ahead and shoot a coyote or something. They're still protected. West of 395, they're still protected federally. On this side of the state, you have that ability to do that, but you wanna just make sure that you're not just out shooting a wolf.
I'm not promoting somebody to do anything illegal.
Right.
What I'm looking to get the word out on is you need to understand when this is legal, so that you can take that opportunity to legally protect yourself, your livestock.
And it's fairly well defined as far as what the Caught in the Act boundaries are. You need to make sure that you that can be proven. One of the ways that I do now is with the evolution of hunting and thermal optics, we all have recorders on them, and that's a huge asset. And if you're out there and they're in your livestock at night, and you're recording their activity and their behavior, and it's all cut and dry right there. There's no skewing what that data says. Yeah. So that's a fantastic way to make a legit shoot.
And I'll take this opportunity to clear some stuff up about thermals too. Now, it's illegal to use thermals for hunting in Oregon. Mm-hmm. However, what we're talking about here is not
hunting.
It doesn't fall under the category of hunting. The same thing is true of hunting coyotes on private land. Mm-hmm. So it's 100% legal to use thermal optics to hunt coyotes on private land in Oregon. And that falls under ORS 498.012, the wildlife damage statute. You can look it up. And it is so confusing that I had to call state police, who sent me to the district attorney, who sent me to the state attorney general to figure out if this was legal or not. And then the state attorney general had to come back and say, yes, it's legal on private land. No, it's not legal on public land, which I still believe is incorrect. But these are the people who are actually going to file the charges. So that's what we're going with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. The thermal's a great tool. I've got a thermal drone as well, and use it a lot for non-lethal. The nice part about it is I've got a 9-mile range, and I'll patrol, take the Crow Creek area, for instance, out there where we have a lot of issues. I'll patrol up and down that creek with that drone at night and cover everybody's livestock with non-lethal. And it provides great footage if you so want to record it, and you can chase wolves off with it. I've done a lot of that with that thing. But as a tool in the ranching industry, it's one of the most important tools I have from the standpoint of putting livestock on a landscape with wolves.
Man, imagine having this conversation with yourself 25 years ago.
I couldn't,
dude.
And no,
right?
no, it's a different world we live in.
I mean, that's Star Wars.
Yeah,
compared to 25 years ago.
Yeah, and to do it at night.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a completely different world. But when you start digging into what your options are for protecting your livestock and what the true meaning of non-lethal is, it's a fantastic tool.
Well, cattle is the biggest part of our economy in Wallowa County.
Yep. And
one of the biggest economies in the state of Oregon. One of our greatest natural resources in Wallowa County is our wildlife. Mm-hmm. And our elk population has gone from around 30,000 historically down to under 10,000 animals now. Mm-hmm. A lot of the state of Oregon considers Wallowa County to be the pinnacle of places to go elk hunting, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. It was. However, it's kind of not anymore. This is a really big problem. Mm-hmm. What's happening with our calf recruitment in particular is that the percentage of calves that survive the winter is too low to maintain our current populations, which means that every year the population is going to decrease. We need at least 15 calves per 100 to survive. And in a lot of our units, we're getting into the single digits. So we can struggle along with this until the mature animals die of old age or get killed by predators or something else. And then what we'll likely see is a big population collapse, which kind of is already starting. Mm-hmm. How would you as a county commissioner address this issue?
I believe, we have an natural resource council that's built into the county there. And when it comes to the ungulate population, the one thing as a county commissioner is you have the ability to work and have good relationships with both federal and state officials. One of the things that I'm really going to work towards is obviously, which is probably unquestionably one of the biggest issues we deal with elk, is the wolf issue and proactive management. And I've watched that firsthand all spring out here. I mean, at one point in time, we figured there was about 25 wolves on the Zumwalt Prairie working those elk herds over there. I had the opportunity to personally sit there and watch them take down elk. It's unbelievable what those animals are capable of, and that many mouths to feed. They were doing about 2 a day out there, is what my estimation was.
Yeah, I mean that's about right. We can count on what is it, 19 elk per year, 20 elk per year, something like that.
State of Idaho did a study back in the early 2000s. I believe it was 23 adult elk per wolf per year annually.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a lot of mouths to feed when you got 25.
And we've got 125, 150 wolves in Wallowa County.
Sure.
I don't know.
It's a very gray number. I believe that their latest estimations, well, at least last year's, the new data hasn't come out just yet, but I think that last year was like 68 that they confirmed.
Okay.
But you're probably closer.
Well, we'll just go with what's confirmed. Yeah. I do know that wolves are the only wildlife species in Oregon that's counted by the individual. Mm-hmm. For other species, we use population models, things like that to estimate the population, but we need an eyeball on the wolf and confirmation that that's not a wolf that's already been counted, which is incredibly difficult. And it gets much more difficult using that model as you move into Western Oregon, where you have a canopy of timber preventing you from counting those animals from a helicopter.
Absolutely.
It's not a model that's sustainable. We need to get away from it. But because of the political pressure surrounding this species, this is what's been done so far. So we've got pile of wolves in Wallowa County, more in our county than any other county in the state by a lot.
Yep.
And okay. So you're going to have good relationships and talk to them about it. That's the plan.
Well, yeah. I've been asked recently. So the Western Landowners Alliance formed a steering committee for
committee that'll help.
Well, yeah, a steering committee for the next wolf plan revision in 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a couple of high-ranking ODF and W officials on there. There's a couple ranchers. Myself, I've been asked to be included on that. We've got some defenders of wildlife folks on there. Kind of a network of people that are all sides of the wolf.
Yep.
And so what that looks like over the next couple of years is holding meetings with ranchers and involved parties to attend, to bring together discussions, topics, views, thoughts on all things next wolf plan phase. It has a really good look at this point of once we get to the plan that there will be management. What that looks like just yet isn't completely clear. Hunts are on the list. Yeah.
And I talked with John Hillock about this a lot. I truly believe that you could completely deregulate hunting for wolves, and you could say, go for it. Just like coyotes, get after it. And it would not reduce our wolf population.
Yeah. Look right next door in the state of Idaho. They have I believe a 200 or so wolf quota every year on their hunting, and they've fallen short this past year at only like 120 or something. They're a very difficult animal to actually get out and hunt. Like the
hardest.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're so intelligent, and you don't just stumble into them. Like you learn their patterns and their behaviors to go get in front of them. And honestly, in a landscape of like Wallowa County, where we've got a lot of livestock interface with the wolves, the management at the state level is going to be critical. They really need to get collars on all the packs. Having that data at all times is monumental. Being able to, like we're currently doing right now, I get updates 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night from the wolf conflict specialist, letting me know where the collared wolves are in the county. I contact adjacent producers unless he has a relationship built with them. This is kind of something we established because he's new to the program at ODF and W, but he'll contact me. I'll contact adjacent producers, let them know there's wolves in the area. Be in the middle of your cattle if you can. Do everything you can to create non-lethal, possible caught in the act, whatever it may be. Just know that they're there and go guard your animal. So moving forward in a management type of a deal, I don't know what that looks like just yet. But if in my mind I see it not different than what the county policy currently is, we need to have our pack sizes maximum of 6. But the studies that go with that are there's some folks that, and if I had my books in front of me, I could dig into some names right here. But there's studies that have shown since the 1960s up into Canada and regions up there, when there's wolves on the landscape with livestock, half of the annual crop of wolves in those packs need to be taken out to keep a sustainable level with ungulates on the land and cattle on the land.
Right.
So keeping these pack sizes down to that, it's been proven in science that's critical, but it's kind of common sense too, that, the less mouths you have to feed, and finding that sustainable number on different landscapes is going to be critical, because it's going to change from, if you've got a Snake River pack to the Zumwalt pack to LeGrand.
Yeah, I think
Mount Harris.
Minam is one of the bigger ones right now with like 13 animals in it or something.
Yeah, Minam and Winnaha are both really big.
Yeah.
The Coon Ridge packs that's out here in the sled, which actually spends more time over in the chest now. They're at 11, I believe. So there's significant size packs out there that are doing a lot of damage right now, and a key component to management is going to be pack size, I believe. And then given the geographical area of what the landscape encounters every year from livestock and ungulates is going to have to play into, what kind of an area is this pack gonna have to be encompassed by, and we, wolves, they're not just in packs. I mean, they're constantly moving in and out of packs and young dogs getting kicked out, and
it's much more fluid than what
it is.
Than what
it's way more fluid.
Disney version of it looks like.
Absolutely.
Something I've noticed in places like Montana and Wyoming is people can have very significant wolf issues, and they almost completely forget about them and stop talking about them as soon as that turns into a grizzly issue. Now, the grizzly population is growing. Mm-hmm. It's growing rapidly in Montana, in Wyoming, in Idaho. Yep. Grizzlies are in Washington. There's always talk about moving more of them into Washington as British Columbia has stopped hunting grizzlies. There's more of them who are saturating that biome and are going to be moving out of it, which is going to include Washington State. I do not want to see grizzlies in Oregon ever at all. I see no ecological or economic benefit to having grizzlies here. And one of our neighboring counties has developed a policy to prevent that from happening. Mm-hmm. It's something that I've talked with Wallowa County commissioners about for the last couple of years. What are your thoughts on grizzlies coming into Oregon?
No.
And then what would you do as a commissioner?
Well, and it's really,
because Wallowa County will be where they show up first.
Absolutely. We're at the tip of the spear. And honestly, I'm a little curious as to why Union and Baker County both have resolutions in place already. One of the first things that'll be one of my first things I'll try to get in place as a commissioner would be to have a resolution for grizzly bears and add it to our, adopt it to our existing natural resource policy. I feel like if we would have been in front of the wolves with a policy and a resolution in place prior to, we would have a little more dog in the fight initially as to what Wallowa County's landscape look like with wolves. And I think it's important that we get ahead of this because they are coming. I mean, there's known grizzly sightings in the Clearwater,
Grangeville,
yep, Gospel Hump, all that area. So we're a stone's throw away, and they will be coming. As for whether we can say no or not, they're federally protected. So it's out of our hands a little bit, but we can get ahead of it with some rhetoric in front of it. So
what do those resolutions look like from our neighboring counties?
I actually have a copy here if you want me to read it.
Okay, yeah.
No, so this is...
or at least give us the nuts and bolts.
The nuts and bolts. Whereas in 1993, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Recovery Plan identified ecosystems, including areas in Idaho, Washington, sustainable to the grizzlies. Whereas U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Park Service approved a plan in April of 2024 to reintroduce grizzly bears to the North Cascades of Washington. Whereas the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service plans to release a draft of new reintroduction plan later this year, and whereas there is no grizzly management plan currently in place in the state of Oregon, is not identified in the 1993 U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Reintroduction Area Plan, whereas the state of Oregon has no viable funds within its budget to manage grizzly bears and offer means of compensation to livestock producers for loss of livestock and land use, Whereas grizzly bear reintroduction would have immediate effect on livestock community who is already facing economic damages from an earlier reintroduction of apex predator, the gray wolf. Whereas this is Union's, mind you, is Union County is relying on economic growth and employment of residents provided by recreation opportunities, including hunting and fishing. Whereas the reintroduction of grizzly bear would obstruct the management of all wildlife in the county, which consists of declining mule deer population, unachieved management objective of elk, and current saturation of competing predators and limited prey. Whereas the reintroduction of the grizzly bear would restrict the current and future plans for critical timber harvest that the county is reliant on for jobs and economic growth. Whereas this is a matter of public safety concern, and then therefore resolved that Union County Board of Commissioners is opposed to any grizzly bear reintroduction within the state of Oregon and specifically Union County.
Yeah.
I mean, it pretty well just spells it out right there. And
Seats taken, not wanted.
Yep, that needs to be in place for Wallowa County.
Yeah.
I mean, if I do get elected, I would hope that this gets heard and maybe it'll be taken care of before I get there.
Yeah,
that would be good.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. We just we don't need that. We don't need people getting their faces ripped off. We don't need.
No, that's a whole different beast.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not good. It's not good. Okay, well, enough about that. I'm sure that you have like some kind of North Star goal, something that if you could serve one term and look back on, like this is the thing that you'll hang your hat on and say, I did something. What would that be?
Given the time frame, obviously, making the changes within the wolf plan is going to be a huge thing.
Mm-hmm. What changes do you want to see?
Proactive management by the Department of Fish and Wildlife, hunting on the ground. I know the effectivity of the hunting may not be that great, but
I think it'll be a deterrent.
Absolutely be a deterrent, but the social tolerance that comes with it will be huge.
Yep.
It'll be something that our society needs in Eastern Oregon.
Something we saw with troops in combat was that a lot of times PTSD would be higher for non-combatant troops who were inside of combat outposts and forward operating bases who, might be getting attacked with artillery or mortar fire, stuff like that, who didn't get to fight back, right? Whereas, now I'm saying whereas, good grief, the troops who were outside of the wire and fighting, plenty of those guys got PTSD from things that occurred there, myself very much included. But it's interesting how much that affected people who weren't able to fight back. And it was very clear that the ability to defend yourself is mentally healthy. Mm-hmm. And when we're talking about these social tolerances and social acceptances, I think giving people that saying, yes, you can go out and hunt this animal. You can protect your pet from this animal. You can protect your home from the threat of this thing. That's good.
Oh, it's huge.
And there's going to be plenty of people who are really upset at the thought of that. And there are folks who are going to say, well, the wolves were here first. And I would love to know where it is they live that wolves were not.
Yep.
Right? It's the same. Portland was wolf habitat too. Eugene was wolf habitat too. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to give up your home?
Yep.
No. We're here now. And people have been on this landscape for a very long time. There's a dig site just over the canyon in Idaho that has 3 wolverine jawbones in it around a fire from 16,000 years ago. That was a man versus a predator 16,000 years ago. Like, this is an old story.
Yep.
We're just in a new chapter of it.
Absolutely. No, it's being able to look back, if I get elected and be able to make the changes within the wolf plan, and hopefully that wolf plan will continue to evolve. It'll be in another 4-year phase, I'm sure. I would like to see him revisit it every 2 years instead of 4 with the exponential growth of the wolves in the state, because places adjacent are going to be growing that much faster because of more wolves, and we're going to need to readdress it faster, I believe. But
I think we need to be better neighbors to our states too.
100%.
Like the damage that California is taking on right now, those are wolves that came from Oregon.
Yep.
That's not cool.
No, not at all. I mean, that wolves, they don't draw a line. They don't.
No.
They follow their nose and to their next meal, and they have to kill to survive. That's we
all do.
Absolutely,
we all do.
It is, and you cannot. It just what they do to the folks that are literally providing protein for the world. What they do to their livestock and not being able to do anything about it, it should be criminal.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to sit back and watch. And one of the reasons why I really want to get onto this topic and get as much done as a guy can is for those folks in Lakeview and those folks in Klamath County that they're in it already, but they aren't where we're at. And if we can expedite these processes over the next 3 to 4 years and get good solid traction so they don't have to get to where they are, that's a win.
Yep.
Like that's big. And being able to look at the next generation, I went to a branding the other day, and there was a whole pen full of kids out there on their ponies and their horses. And the future of the ranching industry here is bright. Like there's opportunity for them. But we've got to get control of some of these things that will allow their businesses to thrive then. And wolves is one of those issues. Mm-hmm. Back to your question about hanging my hat. Public lands. We've got opportunity right now in DC like we haven't had in 40 years with the administrations that's there, with the way that the Congress is stacked.
Yeah, 60% of Wallowa County is public.
Yep.
Federally managed.
Absolutely. They're really working at pulling a lot of red tape away from the NEPA process, which is huge for getting some of these grazing allotments that have been shut down. And I would love to see more opportunities for young ranchers in the county getting
logging.
Logging's tied to it too. Yeah, I'm just evolving into the logging from the grazing portion of it here, but we need timber dollars back in our communities. That gets in our education system, that gets into our roads. Everything, it increases our tax base so that our county has the opportunity to have a better infrastructure.
I'm glad you brought up roads.
I'm sure that there is a lot of folks that are glad that came in the equation.
Was that a smooth drive you had coming down the old county road to my place today? Could you have set a cup of coffee on your dashboard and made it here without spilling?
My driving skills may have allowed that, but no. I mean,
roads is a big subject for Wallowa County, and it's something you're going to have to deal with.
Yep,
twice a day before lunch as a county commissioner.
Absolutely.
You're trying to make miracles on miles with pennies.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, how many miles of gravel road do we have in the county?
Several.
Yes, 100. We've got 7 road graders that are out there doing the work.
Yep.
They're
good dudes.
Great bunch of guys. Got a chance to sit and visit with them. They're showing up for work bright and early in the morning, but 5:30 in the morning they're all showing up to the workplace down there and getting their equipment ready and going. Not everybody's always going to be happy. Unfortunately, gravel roads, they don't just stay like a paved road forever.
No, they require constant
maintenance.
Yeah.
There's definitely priorities that need to be addressed. The worst trouble is we work on one of the smallest budgets in the state from the standpoint of funding for these things.
And a lot of that is because we are not able to utilize
our natural resource dollars
on this federally managed land.
Yep. And that's one of the things that I really want to go to bat for is getting our folks back out in the timber and creating that revenue coming in to help with that tax base, to help create better infrastructure.
I got to brag on one of our road guys. Not going to say his name, but it was during September. I was out guiding, and folks, this is a county employee who's maintaining a gravel road, and he calls me up on my cell phone and said, "Hey, there's a cougar on your place right now. This is exactly where it's at." Sends me a picture of it. He's like, "Get down here and shoot this thing if you can." And it broke my heart that I wasn't here. That's not the type of thing that happens when I'm home, of course. But I bet that would be so strange for most people in most places to have an experience like that of somebody maintaining any kind of a road outside their home and calling them and being like, "Hey, there's a dangerous predator right here. You should do something about it." If that happened in Portland or New York or San Francisco, like that would be mind blowing. But that was a Tuesday here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that makes Wallowa County so unique.
Yeah.
I mean, the people from one end of this county to the other are very like-minded.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it's just a Tuesday. That's just a commonality here. But that's what people want to come here to see, to visit, they come to look at these mountains and these massive gorges that we have and the wildlife and all the things. And the tourism industry has become a huge part of our industry as well. Something that needs to be supported and we've got to have that to keep our little businesses in town alive right now, because we don't have another economic base. I mean, other than livestock and hay that are really supporting the economy. Whereas if we can get a lot more timber dollars coming in here and whereas there we go again, getting the timber rolling to help sustain and keep the ability for the county to operate, and ultimately not have so many of those phone calls about the county roads.
Yeah. They'll call about something else.
Oh yeah, no,
but that'd be a win.
Yeah, it would be a total win, and that's one of the things that I'm really excited about getting in and doing is from a management level, just the day-to-day things. Our solid waste, the county road department, all things level county, and making sure their budget's taken care of and sustainable and responsible. Just it's a huge responsibility, but I can sit here and tell you thank you. You stepped up and served your country. This in a lot of ways is my opportunity to get to serve, and that's why I'm doing it. That's the way I look at it. That's county, awesome. The county's given me a lot of opportunities that I didn't get elsewhere, and I'm so glad it happened here. And I really, really look forward to doing that.
It is a place that kind of ignites that in people, mm-hmm. where it's not just something that you observe or take from. It's so special here that people tend to want to do something to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, you couldn't have said it better, because getting the opportunity to get elected, if I do so, that'll be one of the biggest honors in my life to step up and give back.
Well, you're winning the sign competition right now.
Am I?
I think so.
Well, good.
Yeah.
No, I've got some really good campaign strategists with Tweed Strategies that I'm working with, and they know what they're doing there. So,
okay.
Yep.
Rebecca.
Yep.
She eating meat yet?
What's that?
Is she eating meat yet?
No. We're not doing that. No. She's great. Loves her animals, and she's
fierce. She's a killer.
Oh boy. Yeah. No, there's no BS.
Yeah.
So
no, I like her. She's top 10 vegetarian, I'd say.
Oh, I can't wait to tell her to listen.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she will. Yeah. Well, geez, I think we covered a fair bit here, but is there kind of any parting thoughts? Is there one thing that you'd like to tell people for why they should vote for you?
I'm here for the county. That I got my business covered and things are taken care of at home, and I've got 4 years I'm looking to serve and do the best job I can. We'll see what it looks like after 4 years, but my little boy will be 8 then. I might have to do some ball games and whatnot, but I can still manage, I'm sure, after that for another 4. So, yep, I'm happy to earn their vote and get the opportunity to serve for them if I get to. So,
well, I'm proud of you for stepping up.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think you'll do a good job.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, good luck with it. When's the election?
May 9th, I believe, or
May 9th.
Does that sound right?
Coming up.
I'd have to look at my calendar here.
Okay. Where can people find out more about you?
Social media, Facebook, Rawley Bigsby for county commissioner. I'm going to be doing a meet and greet in Joseph on the 17th, I believe. April 17th, 4:30 to 7 at the Red Horse Retreat. And then I'm going to be doing one at the Willow Woodsman on April 9th around 5 o'clock in the evening till about 7. And there'll be more of those meet and greets to schedule. And I've got several events I'm going to try to attend and get to, and be coming down Main Street, knocking on some doors and getting to know folks in the business community and just putting myself out there.
Cool.
So,
all right, man. Well, good luck.
You betcha. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, James.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you to everyone who has taken the time out of their busy lives to write a review for the show and share it with their friends. I'm extremely proud of how intelligent, engaged, and adventurous this audience is. Original music for the Six Ranch podcast is written and performed by Justin Hay. Art for the Six Ranch podcast was created by John Chatelain and digitized by Celia Harlander. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.